According to the U.S. Department of Energy, the amount of wind energy available in the U.S. continues to grow. And here at the Tippecanoe Valley School Corporation, this wind turbine behind me powers both the middle and high schools. Here's a little bit more about why the school corporation decided to install this turbine 5 years ago and where they are right now. In the fall of 2008, Tippecanoe Valley School Corporation started looking into various energy-saving options.
We were looking at some energy savings projects, and the people that we were working with brought up wind power and wanted to know if we'd be interested in looking into that. Sure, we'll listen to it. And so we started down that road and had a number of different meetings, and I kind of felt like at some point we probably would run into a hurdle that would eliminate that as a possibility for us. But as we kept moving down the road, we didn't run into any of those hurdles. It made sense for us. There were a number of criteria that had to be met. You know, we had to have enough space for a wind turbine. Well, we do. We had to have enough wind for a wind turbine. We do. All the things that were needed, we met those.
We bought the information from a company that did research over an extended period of time to prove that we were a really good candidate for the wind. We don't have a lot of trees, woods, and such around, and the terrain is rather flat. So it just made us a good candidate for that.
Glenn talked about how wind energy works.
We need about 5-6 miles per hour of wind to actually turn the turbine blades. And when they spin, it spins another electrical motor, which creates or generates an electrical current. And that current is then, through computers and such, tuned to match what the grid is sending us. So the two powers are compatible. And essentially that's how it works.
The turbine boasts a strong structure comprised of steel and concrete, and the computers inside control the blades during various weather conditions.
The onboard computers tell it, okay, at 57 miles an hour, you shut down, and not only do you shut down, the blades feather into the wind so they're not catching the wind, and then the system makes sure that it's turned into the wind so it's not hit broadside.
Wind power has been reliable for the schools. It used to take 20 minutes for the gym lights to restart after being turned off and back on. Now it comes back on immediately. Alternative energy has also proven to have multiple benefits.
We decided to build it because back in 2009, 2010 was when the legislature was cutting funding for schools. So we were losing funding like everybody else was, and we felt like by putting the wind turbine, schools pay for a lot of their electricity and gas for utilities, those things out of the general fund. And the general fund is also what you use to pay teachers and really run your programs in the school. So we felt like if we could use the wind turbine to produce some revenue for our general fund, it would help us to keep teaching positions and maintain programs, and it's done that for us.
And you mentioned one of the benefits being, financial.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the other benefits that have come out of this project?
Well, you're right. In addition to the fact that it saves us about $150,000 a year in electricity that we would have to purchase, it now produces for us. We purchased it with clean renewable energy bonds. There are some annual payments that we get from those. If we produce more electricity than what we need on this campus, we sell it back to the grid, so we make some money on that. We also have clean, what's called, RECs is what they're called, renewable energy credits that we sell in the open market. So we have some different sources of revenue there in addition to the electricity that it saves us that help pay for the machine.
Well, the awareness of our kids, which that's what we're here for, to educate the children. And I think they see that when a school corporation has stepped out on a limb like we did, that we take this serious.
Alternative energy is also a part of some teachers' curriculum.
The company that we worked with in putting this in is Performance Services out of Indianapolis. And they had already built, I think maybe we were the third wind turbine that they had put in here in the state. And they had designed a curriculum And that was part of the package that we purchased when we bought the wind turbine, was the fact that there would be a curriculum that we could then share with our teachers.
We're getting ready to talk about the savings that the corporation saves with our wind turbine here. And we've talked about fossil fuels already and the different problems we're having with that in the Middle East and the cost and the pollution. And I tell them it's their generation, and alternative energy is going to be part of their generation. So, and that's where we go with that.
In the science curriculum there, at every grade level, there would be something that would correspond to our wind turbine. So they've linked those to the standards in the Indiana State Standards for Science, and that's how that connection is made. And it really is something that's possible from kindergarten, where you might make a pinwheel and blow on it, to a high school physics class where the content is a lot more challenging. There's a lot you can do with there's a lot you can do with it mathematically too.
And we're starting, as of yesterday, a unit on alternative energy. And we just briefly talked about each type yesterday. And right after spring break, the kids are going to build a wind turbine, and we'll be able to do different speeds of fan and put it onto a voltmeter, and they can tell whether the different speeds matter or not. They'll be able to parallel them into a circuit to see if that matters. And then we will also build later in the spring a solar car.
More than anything, the small town school system is thinking of the future for upcoming generations.
It showed that we're progressive here, that we're not just going to sit back, but if we see an opportunity, we're going to take advantage of that. And we felt like that shared a message with our community. We're a rural community. Everybody thinks we're a bunch of farmers out here, but there aren't a lot of districts in the state that have wind turbines producing electricity for them.
What about pursuing alternative energy do you find important? Why is it important?
Well, we need to lessen our dependence on fossil fuels, because we all know that there's a finite amount of them, and there are some negatives with burning fossil fuels.
Because we're running out of fossil fuels, and there's just so many problems right now with the pollution, and we've got to look. The Middle East holds 60% of the world's supply, and we're not on good terms.
I think that's what our kids are going to grow up with. They're going to see more and more alternative forms of energy, so they need to learn about them, what the advantages and disadvantages are, and I think there are going to be lots of opportunities in alternative energy if they want to get into that particular field.
And with alternative energy, people think that there's going to be a lot of impact in jobs and such, and certainly there would be, but there are so many different career paths with all of these technologies.
We're actually looking at the possibility of putting a solar field in at one of our elementary schools that would power the entire school. So, we're looking for opportunities like that that make sense for us and will make sense into the future as well.